So one of the hardest challenges in all of Halo 2 is on the mission Delta Halo. And the challenge is simple. Launch all the way from the landmass to the top of Regret's temple and land on a paper-thin surface while going a mile over a lake. Can I pull it off? Let's give it a shot! So Regret's temple is located on two missions, Delta Halo and Regret. On Delta Halo, you don't have the benefit of having a gondola ride to be able to get to Regret's temple. So the only way to even get to this on Delta Halo is by finding a way to launch to it. Now this challenge has been attempted by many Halo trickers, and they've been able to pull it off in pretty much every way that you can think of. Landing a tank on this temple, landing a Wraith on this temple, a Ghost, a Warthog, whatever it may be. But the hardest form of this challenge is landing at the very top of this temple from the landmass. Now launching from the landmass and successfully landing on this temple in any form, anywhere on the temple, is one of the most difficult challenges in all of Halo history. And for that reason, it's only been pulled off by a couple of people. Now in the original version of Halo 2, there used to be a glitch where you could cancel out your fall timer. To do this, you basically had to use an energy sword and lunge at an enemy whilst simultaneously getting in a vehicle. But in the newest version of Halo 2 on Halo MCC, this is no longer possible. And for this trick, I wasn't planning on using the Acrophobia skull either, which eliminates fall timer. So to make this even more difficult, I would have to launch an extreme distance, land on a paper-thin surface, and somehow not die to fall timer, which starts the second you start going down. But to pull this off, I didn't want to use a vehicle at all. I was planning on landing on the top of this temple with only my body. To get this started, I booted up Delta Halo and then put on a specific set of skulls. I put on the Sputnik skull, which increases mass acceleration, the Feather skull, which makes objects lighter, the Streaking skull, which when you kill enemies or throw grenades, you can get up to double overshields. Now the most important skull that I had on was the Pinata skull. When activated, this allows you to beat plasma grenades out of your teammate when you beat him down. My plan was to set up a massive pile of plasma grenades. Now before I did this, I picked this specific spot on the cliffside that has an opening. I knew because I had to launch a really far distance, I needed to launch really fast just above a horizontal angle. Now I knew if I were to set up a pile of plasma grenades on a flat surface, I wouldn't be able to go low enough to make it all the way to the tower without dying. So the second reason that I picked this cliffside is because it has a slanted ledge. My plan was to set up this pile of grenades just a few feet off the edge of this slanted surface. This way, when I activated the plasma explosion, I would be able to test different levels and increase my chances of success. To set up this pile of plasma grenades, I first had my second player, which I was also controlling, throw a bunch of frag grenades so that they could get up to double overshields. This way, when I hit them in the back, I would be able to get 8 to 10 plasma grenades out of them before they got to no shields. After boinging out those plasma grenades from him, I would then have him throw a bunch more frag grenades so they could generate up to double overshields again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Now I didn't have a set number of plasma grenades, I was just going by feel. Usually once you get past the 50 plasma grenade mark, 50 more plasma grenades doesn't have that much of a difference. So although I wasn't counting, I was shooting for somewhere between 30 and 50. This would give me plenty of power to be able to make it all the way to the temple. Now in Halo 2, when you're creating grenade piles, there's a weird thing that you have to do. You have to make sure that one player is always in the vicinity of the grenades, staring at the grenade pile. If you even so much as turn around, once your eyes exit the normal field of view for Halo, the grenades out of view will disappear, even if you can still see them on your screen. With this specific plasma grenade pile, I probably shouldn't have been launching plasma grenades from the cliffside forward. It took me about 10 minutes to shoot all these plasma grenades to the ledge close enough so that I could use it for a launch. Now to make sure that my launches were consistent, I shot all the plasma grenades in the tightest pile that I could. Essentially, I unified them into one singular grenade. In videos I've done in the past, most of my plasma grenade launches have been done by throwing a live plasma grenade behind a pile and then jumping on top of it. But because on Delta Halo you start with rockets, my plan was to shoot this pile with the rockets. This would then launch the pile forward and explode right in my face. At least, that was the hope. I used my other player to activate the bridge, and now it was finally time to try to pull this off once and for all. Oh. Come on, hit. Ah. Survive the fall! No! Come on. I landed on it, but with my dead f***ing body. Ah! Okay, I'm still going up, kind of. Still going up, kind of. You fucking... bitch! Oh, that might be good. Keep going straight. Even though I was only 30 minutes in, I had gotten close so many times. Now my goal was to land at the very top of this tower. However, I've never been able to land on the tower at all and survive. But even with a bunch of perfect launches so far, I hadn't really gotten that close to actually sticking a landing. But all I needed to do was do it one singular time. You fucking bitch. Ay, ay, ay. Nope. Come on. Oh. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I fucking missed it. Okay, the strategy is I gotta walk a little bit forward, jump, shoot behind it, and then crouch in midair. Like as I'm descending, I have to crouch. I basically want this pile of plasma grenades to hit me directly in the face when it explodes. So on my closest attempts, I noticed a pattern. If I jumped up in the air and on my descent shot the rocket behind the plasma grenade, I could then crouch in midair and back up slightly. About 5 to 10% of the time that this happened, I would get a mega explosion that would send me at the speed of light almost in a straight line at the temple. But I was already 3 hours into this trick. I'd come close to landing on the temple, but as more and more time went on, the more I realized that this temple is literally the perfect distance to not be able to do this and be extremely close occasionally. Regardless, this was my only trick for the week, and it was looking increasingly more likely each attempt that I was not going to be able to pull this off. Regardless, I had already sunk a bunch of time into this, and if I didn't make it, it would be all for naught. So I decided to power through and give it a little bit more time. Come on. No! That was painful.
I don't know. Maybe I should have been doing that the entire time.
So on this attempt, I did something that I hadn't done the previous few hours. Before, I was jumping in the air and then shooting a rocket on my descent to the ground. Instead of doing this, I decided to walk slightly forward, crouch, and then shoot the rocket. I thought this would make my chances of getting to the top more predictable because I would be going a little bit lower.
Damn it.
At this point, I just wasn't sure what to do. I didn't have any backup ideas for this week, so this was it. But I had also sunk so much real-life time into this trick that at this point would have never seen the light of day. So the question then faced me, do I try to figure out another setup or try to launch from another location? My idea was to go to somewhere a little bit lower and maybe the cliffs by the bridge. But because I had wasted so much time at this point, I really did not think this trick was going to pan out. I took a while to think about what I should do, and unfortunately in that time my hand was forced. While sitting there thinking if I should just restart the mission and try this again, or if I should just try another setup at this point in the mission, I ended up getting a checkpoint while I was on the pause screen. And to me, it just seemed like it was going to be too much work. This really just was not going to pan out. I had already tried this multiple times over the past few years, and in total, I'd probably sunk anywhere from 5 to 10 hours in this. I just couldn't get that one perfect launch. So I decided to give up on it. But it was already Wednesday night. Videos come out on Saturday. If I couldn't hit this, and fast, nothing would be coming out this week. But also, a couple hours later, I started getting sicker and sicker. I had a very sudden onset of illness, and I figured this was my last stand at the Alamo. What little remaining energy that I was going to have, I would need to focus into this trick. Then after, I could die in my bed peacefully.
This time I'm going to try from by the bridge.
I picked the upper ledge by the bridge for the placement of this plasma grenade pile. It then took me like 15 minutes to get this set up because I had to move about 60 grenades 15 feet. But I made sure that I got double overshields by throwing grenades, and once more got a checkpoint by activating the bridge. But as you can see by looking at me, my energy levels were depleting rapidly, so it was now or never. Cue the music.
Close. This might actually be it. Just maintain a little bit more. No! Come on. Oh. Come on. Still laying on the top. Thank you. This is so promising.
Down. Now about those rays.
Fuck. I was so frustrated trying to make it from these two areas because I was so close so many times, yet nothing was working.
about those rigs?
Now, because my challenge was to get from the landmass to Regret's Temple, I didn't necessarily have to launch from either of these positions. If you get outside of the map, you can walk all the way to the ledge that's closest to Regret's Temple. Now, I didn't do this initially because there were a couple things that I didn't want to do. One, I didn't want to have to walk there and get this all set up, because that adds probably an extra 10 minutes of time.
Well, I didn't want to have to do this because there was going to be so much walking, but
Because that adds probably an extra 10 minutes of time. You have to have both players go over to this ledge, set up a grenade pile, and then one player has to walk all the way back into the map to get a checkpoint. The second reason I didn't want to launch from this ledge even though it was closer is because it was too close. Because these grenade piles with the rocket would send me so fast, being this close meant that I would likely just fly over the top of this every single time. And even if I got a straightish launch, realistically I would probably end up landing anywhere else but the top of the temple. But in these times of desperation, I had no other choice. My only option was my worst option. Now I got the pile set up, got double overshields, and sent the second player into the map, and they got a checkpoint. However, I realized that I never actually lined up the pile with my body with the tower. Just because there was a grenade pile here doesn't mean that me shooting it in this checkpoint was going to send me in the right direction. And I found that this was the case immediately. I was not lined up correctly. But I figured, I'm already 3+ hours into this. I can take a couple steps to the left or right and figure out exactly where to stand and shoot my rocket. But this was truly my final stand. If I could land on top of this temple, great. If not, I don't complete the challenge and the video comes out anyways. Music time. Ah. So close. That's the ticket. Bam! Finally! Oh. Yeah, so I still needed to make it to the top, which was my ultimate goal, but it took me 3.5 hours in this day to land on the temple and live one singular time. Now, I would need nothing short of a miracle to land at the top. I gotta do it again. The thrill of the chase. Right to the top, come on! You bastard. What?
Here comes that ride.
Damn it. Damn it. Really? Come on. I did it, finally, to the top of the tower. I don't think there's a way to get down, guys.
I got a good view coming in. There's a big building in the middle of this island's lake.
I saw it too.
See how
Looks
thin
like
this
a
is.
temple.
This is what it looks like an
If I were a
anniversary.
megalomaniac, and I'm not. That's where I do.
Just letting you guys know, this was my birthday trick, and I f***ing love that shit! People ask me, when is this going to come to an end? Never!